This is Warzone Jones, and this is my top 10 babyfaces of all time. Remember, this is my top 10. This is my top 10 and my opinions. Babyfaces of all time. My top 10 babyfaces of all time. But moving on from that, let's start off with number 10. We're going 10 and down. We're starting off with none other than Rob Van Dam, the whole effing show. Rob Van Dam. This guy was a pretty big babyface. He didn't reach the star power of babyface that he could have in the WWE because he was pretty much held down by politics. But other than that, the fans still love Rob Van Dam. Whenever he'll come back for a Royal Rumble or some type of special occasion, he'll still get a pretty good babyface pop at that Royal Rumble. That one Royal Rumble a couple of years ago, when he showed up, he got the biggest pop, and he's not even in the company anymore. But Rob Van Dam was one of the reasons why I watched the original ECW. He was one of the few names that I knew from the original ECW at the time before it had went out. And when he came to the WWE, I mean, I think everybody, just about anybody who knew Rob Van Dam, who saw the guy, pretty much, gravitated to him, and pretty much related to him, and became a fan of his. And Rob Van Dam was so damn over in 2002, 2003, 2001. It was like, what the hell was they waiting on? Like, they should have been gave this guy a title run. But despite the fact that it took him a long time to get a title run, he got a title run. He became the WWE champion. It was short, but he became the WWE champion and even the ECW champion. So he unified those titles. And after a while, he lost those titles because, he got caught smoking weed. He went to jail for smoking weed, so they took the titles off of him because of that. And after a while, he had left the WWE, and now he's in TNA. So if you wonder what Rob Van Dam is doing, he's in TNA Wrestling. He is the TNA World Heavyweight Champion now. But, moving on from Rob Van Dam, but he comes in at number 10, well-deserved. Now, first coming in at number 9 is Jeff Hardy. A lot of people wonder why is he on this babyface of all time. But the simple fact is, Jeff Hardy, in my opinion, when he was in the WWE and he became big after a while, when he became the top star on SmackDown, he was the top star in the WWE. He became bigger than Batista. He became bigger than John Cena. It seemed that way to me. It seemed that way to me that he was bigger than John Cena. I literally couldn't believe that somebody surpassed John Cena. Now, I'm not saying he was like too much bigger than him, but he was a little bit bigger than John Cena. It seemed that way to me, but after a while, Jeff Hardy was the biggest star in the WWE, and I couldn't believe it that somebody was bigger than John Cena. But Jeff Hardy, multi-time tag team champion, he's won a world title a couple of times. He never had a long run with the world title, for various reasons. But Jeff Hardy, to me, he was just a big, huge babyface, and because he surpassed John Cena, in my opinion, that's why he's on this list. Because if you surpass John Cena, and we all know how big he is, big of a star he is, and to me, you should be on this list. Next up, coming in at number 7 is coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 8 is Goldberg. Goldberg comes in at number 8. Goldberg, this guy would literally walk into a ring and smash a guy in 5 minutes. Like literally 5 minutes. So he'll smash a guy within at least 5 minutes of a match. And that probably wouldn't fly now if you was trying to build up a guy like that now. Literally beat a guy in 5 minutes. But he'll literally smash a guy in 5 or 2 or 3 minutes. And I remember that impressed the hell out of me. That he literally beat a guy like within 2 or 3 minutes. And on top of that, they did the storyline where Goldberg was undefeated. And he had like 100 or something wins and 0 losses, and I fell for that. So he was one of the reasons why I watched WCW, and he was just as big as Austin, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, any big time babyface during that time, any big time star during that time, he was just as big as those guys, and probably even bigger. So Bill Goldberg should be on this list, most definitely, in my opinion, one of the biggest babyfaces of all time. Next is apparently the controversial one, none other than John Cena. WWE marks, those people, a lot of marks just like John Cena, particularly WWE marks John Cena fans all over the world, and you got John Cena haters all over the world. Whether you like the man or not, this guy is one of the biggest baby faces of all time, period. He's one of the biggest draws of all time, period. I had to put John Cena on this list just because of that. I'm not his biggest fan, and I know guys like, Wrestling Jesus isn't. But you know, you got guys like Gemini who just go crazy for this guy for some reason. But you know, John Cena, he had to go on this list, period. He had to go on this list. I don't want to spend too much time talking about him because I don't too much like him myself. But John Cena, he had to go on this list. Next coming up is Sting. Sting had to go on this list. Sting was one of my favorite wrestlers, period, when I was a little kid. When he did the Crow gimmick, he went from the Surfer to the Crow. When he did the Crow gimmick, and I saw this gimmick, I'm like, wow, this guy looks cool. He looks cool. He was another reason to watch WCW for me. And when he did this Crow gimmick, he became a bigger star, period. So he rejuvenated his career. He literally redefined his look, redefined his gimmick, and just became a bigger star, period. And I think he was the highest paid guy in WCW. You probably think maybe Hogan. Then again, maybe Hogan was. But I heard he was the highest paid guy in WCW. But you know, other than that, Sting is one of the biggest babyfaces of all time. If you want to know what Sting doing, he's in TNA too. But moving on, going on to a guy who is known to be the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Bret Hart. This guy was one of the biggest babyfaces of all time too. Bret Hart was loved by fans all over the world, for sure. Canada, Great Britain. You know, I believe even in China. I mean, like, this man was loved in all types of countries. And Bret Hart was just one of the best wrestlers. Not necessarily the best talker, not necessarily had the best charisma, but Bret Hart was one of those guys who necessarily didn't have the best charisma, but he was able to break through that and become one of the biggest stars in the company, period. So Bret was probably the biggest star all through the 90s. Well, most of the 90s, you know, I would say the early 90s and the mid 90s, then. No, the late 90s, you had a couple more other guys come up, such as Shawn Michaels. Well, he came up in the mid 90s, but Austin. But other than that, Bret Hart, he's one of the greatest of all time. He can't wrestle no more now. But despite the fact of all that, I rather remember Bret for his prime. So I like to remember Bret for his prime. I don't judge him now. I want to judge Bret for his prime. So that's why he's on this list. Coming in next is none other than HBK. Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. The Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. He had to go on this list because I thought I saw something weird. But Shawn Michaels had to go on this list because, you know, hey, he's Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels had great feuds with The Undertaker, Triple H, you know, and so on. This guy's probably the best performer on this list. Probably the best performer of all time. Yeah, Shawn Michaels is the greatest performer of all time, at least in my opinion. So HBK, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, comes in at number 4 on this list. Next is The Rock. The Rock, the most electrifying man of all time. Let me tell you how big The Rock is. The Rock is still a big star in pro wrestling. When I say in pro wrestling, I mean people still mention his name. People still talk about him, whether you want to call him a sellout or not. Now, people call him a sellout because you miss The Rock. Now, who watched The Rock back then don't miss this guy? Like, you can't tell me you don't miss this guy if you watch this guy. If you watch this guy's promos, like, sometimes I literally sit on my computer screen and I watch some of his old promos and, like, 2 hours done went back. Because that's how good The Rock was. I always said that The Rock was a promo king, and he was a really good wrestler, too. And The Rock is just an all-around complete superstar, and the fans, The Rock was one of those guys who can bring the fans into what he was saying. So when The Rock was talking, the fans was listening. When he was wrestling, you know, they was watching. That's what The Rock was. The Rock was incredible, in my opinion, one of the greatest babyfaces of all time, no doubt. And, you know, this guy probably had the best catchphrases in wrestling at the time. Probably still got the best catchphrases, period, you know, in the history of pro wrestling. Next, we're going on to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes in at number 2. A lot of people probably think he should be number 1. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, in my opinion, is the number 2 guy. Because, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he came up, even though he was in WCW, he went from WCW to ECW, and his gimmick changed when he got into the WWF, which is now known as the WWE. His gimmick changed when he came to the WWE, and when he changed his gimmick, he became the biggest money maker in pro wrestling at the time, period. Stone Cold Steve Austin was a phenomenon. That guy was you know, I'm trying to think of the words to explain how big he was. I mean, the guy was he's one of the greatest of all time. He's one of the greatest draws of all time, period. And I saw this one video about this one guy pretty much said that Austin was lame and John Cena was better than him, and yeah, you know, it sounded like a John Cena mark. But, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, no doubt, is one of the greatest of all time. Great feuds with The Rock, my favorite feud of all time. He had a pretty good feud with Shawn Michaels and a couple more other guys. And Stone Cold Steve Austin is he was just one of the greatest of all time, period. Next, the #1 babyfaces of all time. The #1 babyface of all time, in my opinion, is none other than Hulk Hogan. I know a lot of people probably don't agree with that, but Hulk Hogan, we all know how big Hulk Hogan was. Hogan was big. Whether you like it or not, Hogan was big. So, that's my list. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel, comment on this video. Oh yeah, tell me what you think about my list. So, this is Warzone Jones. I'm out.